at least 1,000 Myanmar students, and we found that 130 students had a family which were affected by the earthquake. So we collect the data. Of course, on one hand, we know the situation of their family, but on the other hand, we know what happened on the ground in Myanmar, right? Because they try to connect to their family, their parents, right? So we can get the inside data from them as well. Okay. Okay, you can see this the photo to show you both Myanmar, Thai student, international student to join these events, right? And then, of course, at the same time, we need to contact with the Thai society, right? It means like this event, on one hand, is trying to connect to the Myanmar people, and it's also trying to contact to Thai people to communicate what happened in Myanmar, right? So, okay, again, we work with the student, right? And okay, this is they call for the donation inside the university and the community around the community as well. And we also like work with our network as a musician. This is an online concert. I think we did the same thing now with Chiangmai University, right? We also work with some civil society organization in Bangkok to call for the donation, right? And you can see like this is a group of the visitors in Roy province in the northeastern, right? And there are some company like they sending us supply, right, from in many ways, right? They collect by themselves, or sometimes they bought it in the macro or lotus, and then the macro lotus send it to our office, right? This is the way that we collect the goods or the supplies, right? And even the small business in the Chiang Rai province, they also provide something, right? And from the foundation, right? Okay, this is the supply that we collect, right? And the key factor, right? We need to keeping the continue of the mobility in Myanmar, because as you know, right, they try to control the mobility of the goods, of the people, of the idea. So we can I say we need to do with border culture. Okay, I mean that in the border area there is some like culture, right, that we can utilize it. Okay, this is the day before, like we crossing the border. Okay, we have to pack, and we most of the people here are the migrant workers that come to our office to help each other. As you can see, like this the situation may change already. They may already have the goods that you intend to give them, right? This is always happen, right? This is from the first round of our assistance. Okay, you can see this is all the way to the Mandalay. You can see this is the traffic, right? Yeah. Okay, this is just 2 days, right? Right? And yes, this is an example of the supply that we provide. That is our leaders, right? Were there, okay? And you can see like another now, right? The big challenge, right, from our understanding is about recovery, how to rebuild a house for the people, right? Of course, they are still need some supply, right, for their daily.
So discussion that we would like to share after the two presentation, Ajaan, as well, naka? If you like to share.
Transport. Okay, we use private transportation in our network. Okay, and what do we need? Of course, we need the document, right, from the, how can I say, from the community, right, in the destination. For example, we are going to the Mandalay community. Okay, we need one letter, right, to show to the checkpoint. Okay, and another thing is we need another paper from the military office, right? So we need to document. Okay, on the way to the Mandalay. Okay, we need to stop, right, in every checkpoint. No? The numbers of the checkpoint. Once we have this letter, right, they will not investigate you, right? They will not order you to open every boxes, right? And then in a box or in the bag, we put a sticker of our organization, right, to guarantee that this is only for the humanitarian assistance. Okay, this so we do not have to pay a tax on. Of course, when we cross the border, right, during the Tachilek and from Mesai to Tachilek border, okay, we need to pay to the custom and immigration, no? But it's like it's not too high, right? Because most people in Tachilek, they also like always transport goods, right, for their daily life. So we declare this is for like a daily life, and there are many like agency, right? They always like transport in the name of the daily life of good for the people. So I think it's more easier, like, for us in transportation. No. In to Mesai to Tachilek, yes, we have to pay, but it's not expensive. Yeah, and it's it's under the regulation.
I also want to respond to this question because, I mean, as you know, this country has operated in many informal ways, including the informal economy for ages. So there are always ways like we can actually do this informal way, but it really depends on which area and like how who depends on the mercy or the merit of the local authorities in many ways, because like for example, like some of the INGOs who have to get the permission from Naypyidaw, right? They get the permission from Naypyidaw, but then they cannot really go down. When they go, they are still blocked or stopped by the locals anyway. So that's one thing, because that's with the INGOs, UN agencies situation, particularly the INGOs, I would say. But then if the INGOs will actually quietly channel through the local CSOs, that can actually reach to some areas. But also that depends, because as you remember, on April 5th, the junta actually issued a policy, right? The groups who are not from the quake affected area cannot come for relief and recovery unless they have the permission, unless they work with the local groups from the affected areas who are already approved by the junta, right? But that order doesn't really apply everywhere either. It depends. So then, just like the migrant workers that I'm imagining as I'm listening to you, they know the local ways of, how to go, where to go, even do you go from the main road, the border trade route, or you go from the local routes. So this local knowledge really applies in this kind of missions, how to get the aid to the affected communities. But like you said, it takes time. It takes time. So in some situation, from our civil society's response is, we will actually do the cash so that they can procure in their communities immediately, because the local produce is still there anyway. Of course, some of the things like medicines are very important, even for those with the, like a chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes. It's very challenging. But then like just for the commodities, there are many ways that you can just like procure locally if they get the cash in hand, which can reach to them in less than 24 hours or even immediately. So that's another way of doing things, I would say. But the other way that I would say is also, I think in any of this people-to-people, cross-border, we really need the local authorities support. I mean, like if you go to the Karani, yes, because the other side of the Karani, other side across from Mae Hong Son, you have the local governance. So local authorities of the Karani will cooperate with the Thai side. However, in some areas, I'm not going to name, but then it is from the Thai side of the Thai authorities who actually initially said okay, but then block and seize the aid for the earthquake. There are cases like that also happen. So I think it really depends where and who, and so we just have to kind of look into different, just like we have to diversify our people-to-people approach in many ways, I would say. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much for your very informative and insightful presentation. And I also would like to add some of the point that Ohnmar has already presented. Actually, aid are not reaching to the most affected population in Myanmar. Even in the Naypyidaw, just 2 days ago, they SAC supported like a cash contribution to the casualty of SAC staff and officials and their family members just 2 days ago. It's all about to 1 month, Actually, that kind of cash support is really important for some funeral staff and ritual wards after, somebody being killed by the natural disaster. But it took SAC almost 1 month to support even to their staff. So this is a very clear example of, how they are managing AIDS and also, how they are managing that large-scale disaster. This is one thing. Another thing is, recently, like a UN OCHA issued a report, and they have developed like a humanitarian needs and response plan. So as per this plan, they could mobilize $33.4 million from various like donor countries and agencies. So according to SAC, like exchange rate, like Ohnmar already talked about, they usually provide only 3,700 for their fixed exchange rate. Sometimes they manipulate for UN agency, for example, like 3,800 or 4,000, something like that. But if we check with the regular exchange rate, like it's about 4,300. So if we calculate, the difference between, the exchange rate that the SAC is manipulating. So, for example, if we convert that $33.4 million into Myanmar currency, it's become like 123 billion Myanmar baht. So it is with 3,700 exchange rate, and if we use the actual exchange rate, it became like 144 billion Myanmar currency. So according to this discrepancy, SAC can earn about like 20 billion Myanmar baht from this 33 million international aid. So when we convert it into a US dollar, it's become like a 4.6 million they can earn from this exchange rate. So that is how SAC is manipulating, international aid, not only from the direct support from the international community, but also from the, a support through international and UN agency. So this is also one point I also would like to highlight. And the last point is, we are really thankful all the friends from Thailand for delivering support to Myanmar. But
in addition to aid support, there are many technical support we are needing, especially for potential like a geological hazard, because this earthquake can create a lot of not only the physical damage but also some other like geological hazard. So that is why we need to do some kind of like technical assessment and survey widely in all the affected areas, because even in like a you might witness even in inland, all the geological situation has been changing, and not only in Zakhan and Mandalay, but also in Pago area. There are many houses stay intact, but due to the like a rupture and fissure caused by the earthquake, so these houses can no longer be able to accommodate for the people. So that kind of situation are happening everywhere, and so we need to do a lot of survey and assessment for that kind of technical matter, and also for upcoming hazard. So that is why we need like a sort of the technical assistant as well. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sister, for adding more on this also, and also giving like the worrying situation ahead of us. Just add on a few on what she has already shared with us. I think there is also in this second phase, as we are already starting to be in the monsoon season, we're seeing even a lot of rain already, and there is like a people are worried about potential outbreak of the cholera, for example, like, and people continue to be just out in the field where nothing really there. So even like, for our civil society trying to help with the, like the build up the wells, because the water really dry many places, so there is no water. And also like little pumps, machines and all, but also the like temporary toilets and all of that. But the challenge is, I would say this is quite a like large scale, and also because it's geological, so the earth itself is changing in the physical forms, but there is nothing there to really cope with it all, or assess and really plan how to do. So how do we actually, I mean, like what we are able to do is, compared to the need, is minimum, because when it comes to the recovery or calculation of further disasters, as people, we won't be able to actually cope with or address that. So I think that is a larger level of this in the face of the recovery, to be more inclusive and comprehensive assessment. How are we going to do it? I think the challenge for us is also the hunter doesn't have that. The hunter doesn't have the capacity, let's face it, the first thing. And they will not actually go down to really do this for the people, to save the people's lives. That's the second thing. And the third is, if they don't allow the international community to come to the ground to do that proper work, how are we going to do that? I think that's where we need the political will from the ASEAN to take further steps than just talking to the military chief, which is going nowhere. I think, I mean, I'm not so sure how we can, but in the coming together, we need to have more of this proper kind of like a coordination from the people to people, taking the level high, like beyond than the aid delivery, beyond than the relief. We need to come to them more. I think like that one I noticed, Thai friends, engineering friends, they published something online that were Thai engineering students come up with something for the assessment. I think that they sent online, where it went quite viral in the Myanmar communities, and the people really thank for that, like that. But it is from online. But how do we get that kind of technical assistance on the ground? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For the concern now, I think it's possible for us like to set up like for example a working group, right? For all the organization in Thailand, right? To like to share the information, to share the resources, right? In the sending the assistance to Myanmar, because like now we like are in the separate, right? So we need, I think, have something like a tool to share at least the information, right? And to share there, to help to identify the need assessment, and then we can then we can like explore for another connection with another group, for example, for those are the engineer, for the another some Thai business, right? They willing to help, but somehow they do not know how to help. They lack of the data. Right? So I think is for my idea. Is we should like set up a working group or something like this. Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
I also think, how about we set up like that and reach out to the ASEAN AHA Center. The reason I'm thinking of AHA Center, even though I'm not confident about the intergovernmental agency, how much of the limitation that they have. However, this is the body in the region to deal with a natural disaster. In fact, what I learned is that AHA Center already had the assessment and the response plan looking into the Sagai Fault. That's what happened. That's where the earthquake was, right? The Sagai Fault, that was many years back, like in 2012 or around that time. I learned that they already have that kind of preparation and response plan already. But of course, that was the time without the national level of the civil war, right? But regardless, my point is the AHA Center, as the intergovernmental agency supported by the international aid donors, have the know-how, have the technology. I think this is their role now to really work with the civil society, with us, to really address how do we actually come and collaborate together. And I think this is something, I don't think they will open the door for us, but how about we also knock their door now as a civil society together, as they should be dealing with this more than us. I mean, more than us, mean like they have that technology how to do it. Yeah.
I think we are discussing in very important point, because one of the objectives today is to build up coordination and collaboration for the future. And actually today event in the evening, and you know them well, for the Myanmar Emergency Response Coordination Unit that they are based here in Chiang Mai, at least 30 volunteers of them, and then they connect well with the ground. And I think after this, there's kind of proposed working group, also the roles of academic, the roles of students, the role of foundations in Thailand, organizations that we can think more in the future. I think this is a good point. All right, we still have some time for questions. Jackie, please.
So a question to Ohnmar and a sort of comment. Just heard about the junta demanding that people in the earthquake-affected areas pay their electricity bills. Have you heard that they're enforcing that? And I just heard from some friends in Yangon that their electricity bills have been like 10, 20 times what they could possibly be when there's not electricity most of the time in the last month, and whether you've heard anything like that. And just on this issue of like a working group, setting something up, I think it's a great idea, but it shouldn't be for this disaster. I mean, it should be for this disaster, but for all disasters. It should be preparedness, because we've had the tsunami, we've had floods, we've had Cyclone Nargis. There will be more, and with climate change as it is, there will be more and more. So it should be something which is ongoing, which is not just about after, but it's about prevention, and also looks very much at the cross-border issues. That migrants here, sometimes they're affected, like in the tsunami, directly affected, and then we had missing dead body. We had dead bodies that were never identified. It took over a year to identify a lot of them and for their families to know, but they were still, in the end, they were just cremated. They were still in the centers in Panga. So to set up some systems of for connections for migrants and their families to be connected, to know what's happening, so that we also can address some of the trauma and some of the the nitty-gritty stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie, for bringing this up. Yeah, yes, there are reports of this electricity bill being demanded also, but it's not consistent everywhere though. But again, that's always been how this junta operates, right? But what we see in also is not only the electricity bills. There are those local people who their houses collapse, or they are like a cottage, whatever, the house collapse. They are being asked to give the money to clear that rubbles. So how can these people give the money to clear the rebels when they lost everything, right? Unless they are so rich with the money in their banks, like they are cronies. That's a different story. However, the people are being demanded to pay if they want to clear the house, the rebels. But there are volunteers, local volunteers, who are willing to clear that rebels. But when the people asked them to come and help, they went, and these youth got arrested. And the other thing is, there is a risk for those local house owners. If they cannot clear the rebels, then quote unquote the authorities will clear at one point. But guess what can happen by then? Then the land can be seized by the state, meaning by the junta, that they will, in the coming time, they might actually be used for their another layers of the cronies to privatize it. And that is something that we have to go back to learn from the Nagis time. Because what happened in Nagis recovery, even though the tripartite dialogue, the ASEAN, they want to really show off saying that they did well, but what they don't know is they have no monitoring mechanism. What they didn't understand is all of their recovery, the projects were won, tenders were won by the military cronies. Now, military cronies have already donated a lot of cash to the junta. We don't even know where those cash are gone at this point, right? But the favor will be returned by the military in the recovery time. When the international aid for the recovery come, then the tender will be called, where the crony companies, construction company will win the tenders, then they are the one who are going to take all of these. The people will not get. So that's what happened with the Nagis. This is even going to be worse. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Very complex situation, but also different stakeholders involved. And just to link to the next speaker, but we will take a break. We have P. Adisorn Kerdmongkol from Migrant Working Groups, that he will speak also with the life of migrant workers, but especially after the collapsed building. So we will take a break about 15 minutes. Oh, sorry, 10 minutes. We'll come back on 10:30. We have some break over there. Thank you so much. Swadika. Welcome back again for the second round. For the seminar on first month after earthquake and impacts on Myanmar and Thailand, people-to-people approach. We already finished 2 speakers in the morning, and we'll have the next presentation soon. And may I also announce here as well that today that we have the co-hosted by many organizations. We have the Regional Center for Sustainable Development Center, RCSD, Chiangmai University, which Ajaan Chayan was giving the open speech this morning. We have also Burma as a Student Association, BSA. We have organization Burma Concern and Khun Suebsakun Assistance Center for Migrant Workers from Chiang Mai. We also have Migrant Working Group that's based in Bangkok that we have Khun Adisorn today. We also have platform 36 that today they have the photo display of the earthquake here in university, and this evening during the fundraising they also will display there for their photos. And we have the Mekong Butterfly, the research group. We have the Northern Thai NGO Coordinating Committee or NGO Court. Also the community of activists in Northern Thailand, which are Thai friends, called Khin. We have the Myanmar Emergency Response Coordination Unit that is fundraising today. We will also giving to them to help the efforts on ground. We have the Landin, the venue that will be this evening fundraising. We have Born in Burma Arts, and we have Sanim Tum Chop. These are the collaboration coordinations from different groups of friends, the academics, researchers, students, also CSO, NGOs, activists, and also the local business that trying to call again for public awareness after 1 month of the earthquake. And yes, please let me invite our next speaker. He just arrived this morning. He based in Bangkok, and he is also follow closely for the migrant workers who are impacted by the collapsed building in Bangkok. And he also worked for advocacy level about the migrant groups as well. So from this tragedy, you can see through this tragedy about the gaps of the policy level as well. And then he will speak in Thai, so please use your devices. So เชิญค่ะพี่อดิศร
พอดีนะครับจริงๆไอ้ตัวเหตุการณ์ที่เกิดขึ้นในประเทศไทยมันเป็นจุดที่เล็กนิดเดียว
It has exposed lots of problems. It's under construction. The building belonging to the State Auditor General. It's a joint venture between Italian Thai and China Railway (CREC). And according to its data, we found that there are at least 36 subcontractors involved in the constructions, and among them they are subcontractors, and the number of workers involved are 400 workers on that day, on that particular day. But the affected worker, some of whom have died, some about 103. 65 of them are Thai, 33 are Myanmar, and the rest are from Cambodia and Laos. The reasons that there is quite a substantial number of Thai workers, as far as I have inquired, basically this building has been almost completed. Its structure has been completed, and now there are the installations of electricity and other system, water system, elevator, and other. That's why more Thai workers were involved on that day, more than migrant workers, 65 of them. And And we found that according to the official figures as of 24 April, 63 deaths, 9 injuries, and 38 are missing, whose bodies have yet to be recovered from the site. And we found 25 of them are Thai. Among the deaths, 25 are Thai, 25 are Thai, 6 Myanmar, and then 32 whose identity is yet to be determined, 32. And then we found that in the past 1 month, there was a lack of clarity in terms of management among of the state. Excuse me, there is a lack of clarity in terms of management of the Thai state. The Thai authorities, when we have gone to the site, it's like, there was very loose coordinations among authorities, different tents set up, and there is a lack of coherent coordination, and there was a lot of confusion. If the relatives from Myanmar came to look for their relative at the site, it's very confusing for them, and there's also this language barrier that made it very difficult for them to find out about their affected relatives. And lesson learned from previous disasters, we found that among the casualties of disasters, many of them are not Thai, so we have provided interpretation services, and we also translated signs from Thai into different languages. Also in collaboration with the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, but the translation is not enough, because when we the relatives have been pointed to different authorities, and for example, if they want to look for their relatives, they will point to, maybe you have to go first to the BMA, and then maybe you have to go first to the police, or you have to go and have your DNA tested, or things like that. It was a bit confusing. And among the deaths, there was no clear explanation from relevant authorities, as to which documents they have to produce in order to retrieve the bodies. It looked like none of the officials can give clear explanation as to which documents are required. And when the relatives came to the site, maybe they are not the direct lineage of the disease. So because they are not the direct lineage, the DNA testing might not be accurate, and the authority might not conduct the DNA tests on them. So there is this lack of clarity, there is a lot of confusion. Another thing is as to the remedies, the remediation, we found that it's been quite delayed, and even though there is law to provide remedies, but many of them still have no access to them. Also, the insecurity of employment, insecure employment, because much of the media focus on how many bodies have been recovered, but the media do not pay proper attention to people who survive, to the surviving workers, and so how can they continue their livelihood, after this building collapse? Will they still be employed? How will their employers treat them, or even all these outstanding salaries? It's still not clear if they will receive the unpaid salaries. And we also encounter some workers who are so traumatized, by this collapse, and that's happened in front of their eyes. Another thing is we found that the complex nature of the construction is not like if we delve down into its project. Apart from these two companies that constitute the joint venture, there are many different subcontractors, and there are many subcontractors involved. So we found that, for example, one subcontractor which has been subcontracted from another subcontractor. So what happened is they are workers and subcontractors themselves, and they employ both Thai and migrant workers. And we found that in such case, the Thai workers who are both employers and workers themselves, they are still stuck in the collapse, in the debris. So it's very difficult to determine if they are workers or subcontractors themselves. And then how to when we talk to the relatives, we found that all these authorities failed to give them clear explanation, which tent. There are so many tents at the site, but there is no explanation as to which tent they should first go to, and there is no clear instructions or which document they have to use. So, or they have to, and also the public relations, the translation of document, there is no clear announcement made, particularly for the body retrieval. When the bodies were recovered, when the first bodies of the workers were recovered, we heard that there would be a cremation for the bodies. But when we got to the temple said there was no cremation, because the forensic authorities said you have to produce documents from Myanmar so that we can give you the corpse, the bodies, because given this confusion, so the relatives cannot retrieve the bodies for cremation. Some of the relatives in Myanmar live in conflict area. They live in conflict area in Karen state, for example, where wars are ongoing. So it's very difficult for them to travel from the war ravaged area here. And So there are two cases. One is wife of a worker whose body has yet to be recovered. She is 7 months pregnant and is known among workers, among the NGOs, that the pregnant woman so basically the wife who is pregnant has no work permit, no ID card, so it's very difficult for her to retrieve her husband's body. And another case is a wife and a mother of a deceased worker. They have to travel, they have to cross the border without documentation. So it's very difficult for them to undergo this identification verification. And and we also found another interesting thing is that for the identification verification, if they are born in Thailand, then their identity data is certainly collected by the Thai authorities, and the police use that database to identify the persons. And we found that some workers have been registered, but their identity data has not been found in the Thai authorities database. There are two possibilities. Number one, there was a problem with this data collection system, like the case of the scammers. If you remember this, the scammers, because there were reports that these victims of scamming industry, have not undergone this data collection. That's why the data of these victims have not been collected by the Thai immigration. There were reports about that. And also some agents who help to get the workers registered without bringing the workers to undergo this data collection. That's why some deceased workers, although nominally they have been registered, but their identity data could not be found in the database. As to the remedy, we found that both Thai and migrant workers, they are not insured. They are not insured with the social security system. As a result, when they die, their names are not included in the SSO, the Social Security Fund. And there was one estimate that 45% of migrant workers are not registered, are not insured. And we found that the employers often tell the migrant workers that you have to work at least 1 year in order to be eligible to be registered under the social security system. So this is quite a big failure of the social security system here, because they can be instantly registered according to the law. So because if they are properly registered, then the remedies are easy to access. But without this, insurance status, it's very difficult. So what we found from the authorities is they told us that the relatives have to go to the embassy in Rangoon in order to retrieve the compensation, in order to get the compensation. So, and also another obstacle is how to prove that they are descendants of the deceased workers, how to prove they are the lawful child of the married parents, things like that. So it's not very easy for them to produce any evidence to show they are lawful descendants. Yeah. Because many of the couples are not legally registered. Their marriage have not been registered. And the Thai authorities simply, do not disregard this. They do not accept this. And another thing is there is a lack of effort to explain to the relatives about, their eligible benefits. They simply give out, pamphlets, book leaflets, and ask them to read instead of verbally explaining to them. And also, according to the Thai bureaucratic system, we cannot give the money right away. There's a lot of paperwork involved. Another thing is about document and its translation, because the Thai authority require that these translated documents have to be verified by the embassies. They have to be certified by the embassies. So this is really a big challenge, and they may have to pay something in order to get the document certified by the embassies. Another thing is about a lack of security of their employment, because they are workers of subcontractors, so they are basically like temporary workers, and there is no clear path as to which jobs they will land in the future, and even the employers cannot say. So the authorities have to intervene and try to ensure that these workers have a clear path to future's employment after this, building collapse. Because the employers might also not have received money from, the bigger subcontractors. So those subcontractors higher the echelon may have yet to pay those at the lower echelon. So there's a lot of unpaid salaries among the workers, and the state failed to intervene to ensure payments on this. Also, some employers already moved to another site, whereas the workers still have to try to, try to recover the bodies of their deceased relatives. So a lack of income has really taken its toll on their livelihood, and there are also extra expense from their having to track down their missing relatives. There are a lot of expenses for their accommodation while trying to track down their missing relatives, because they are not allowed to sleep at the site. And the last thing is how to change to a new employer because many workers are so traumatized, they are so terrified by the event, by the incidents, so they want to change to a new employer, but it's not legally possible now, because for Myanmar from worker, there is no clear procedure to allow them to change to a new employer. And although they are allowed to work for another 6 months, but there is no clear guideline as to if they want to change to a new employer. So basically, you simply have to continue with your existing employer, even though you are so terrified by the incidents. And if you change to if you so it's very difficult for them because they cannot have no employer. They have to have at least one employer. Another thing is, it seems that since I work for the migrant workers, we have faced at least 4 major disasters: tsunami and the flood in 2010, 2011, and COVID, and this one. The thing is, after these 4 major disasters, we barely learn any lessons. The state barely learn anything because Thai people are not affected. So, and there are also some interpreters who are involved. And some signs have been translated into, other languages, but there is not a clear protocol developed to in response to a big disasters. So as a result, these migrant workers have been neglected and also worse off because they are not insured with the social security system. They really, number 2, the Thai state doesn't understand the context of migration, and in terms of Myanmar, we cannot demand, we cannot require that their relatives have to produce, documents from Rangoon, for example. It's not possible given the conflict, given the situation. The Thai authorities seem to be not aware of such inequality, inconsistency. They keep requiring these documents, official documents. Number 3, there is a lack of understanding of recruitment process, because employment process, because we do not understand the complexity of this employment process, then we cannot really provide a good response when such disaster struck. And last, that there has been no leadership, no information. Each authority works by themselves. There is no clear leadership, no clear coordinations among the authorities, as a result of which the response, the remedies are facing many problems. There is no common database among authorities. The Ministry of Labor has its own database, but they don't share such database with other agencies. So they work on their own, and when major disaster happen, they cannot properly provide the response. So we think we barely learn any lessons from previous disaster. I think Thailand and Myanmar, when it has to be people to people, it has to be help from people to help. Yeah. Even in Thailand, and this I mean the Thai authorities have to change their perspective when they have to handle this response.
How to say, it's one case in Thailand, but it can show and reflected a very big gaps of the policy of labor management in Thailand. No? And this, the people who lost their life there, and a lot of problems in the back, those undocumented groups, and also those who have to work with the dangerous work that most of the people don't want to be there, and they're low wage, and it's very, how to say, it's one of the strategy that tragedy that happened to the migrants here in Thailand. So it's quite, how to say, comprehensive from Myanmar to the border, and also what's happening in Thailand that we can see this morning. No, so I would like to again call for discussion or sharing or opinions or feeling. How do you think, or any proposed thing that you would like to call for collaboration?
Thank you also for sharing with us about this Bangkok situation, even though we were, of course, aware of, right? But because of everything what's happening in the country is also so massive. So it's really good to understand from people about where things are with in relation to the Thai government's system and policy as well. I'm wondering, just to pick up on what we discussed previously, I mean, before the third speaker, about the collaboration. Even like, if we can come with this kind of like some kind of coordination mechanism, if we could look into like, well, like beyond in terms of like further disasters that we should anticipate, maybe it's time that we still, like, I'm still with my proposal of reaching out to the AHA Center, but still, because it's a intergovernmental mechanism, things which is difficult for us. But at least if we can bring some other stakeholders, including those, like engineers in Thailand, to really look into that post-quake possible other disasters, including like studying of like, I mean, like even like thinking of like, from Sakai all the way to Bangkok, and why Bangkok, right? And seeing of the detecting of the other indicators of the post-quake potential disasters. I think there should be an immediate assessment with those who understand this geological, like shift happening. So I think that's one thing that could be, like one particular working group could look into that. I'm sure among the Myanmar youth, including those who, with the geological background, will be helpful to bring in, we'll bring in some of them to be a part of this kind of discussion. Whereas, we can look into the ongoing relief, recovery, like immediate needs of the people, how to support. So I think that it could be some, like a cluster working group mechanisms maybe, that can be looked into as an immediate next step from today's session. That would be my humble proposal to all of you here. So, yeah.
Any more questions or opinions or recommendations? Huh? No. If no, I would give maybe the second round for the speaker to give your last points here. And also, today we will not be just a seminar. I hope we will work on in the future. No? So please, maybe I invite Emma first, and then he talk and he bomb.
Thank you so much again for today space and time for us to have this exchange ideas and share the update. I just would like to of course A knows well, like last year also like someone like myself looking into this situation in Myanmar, how that spillover effects from Myanmar has reached in more severe degree compared to 20 years ago to the border, to Thailand and beyond in the region, and looking into that solution, how as we look into the immediate impacts, like transnational boundaries impacts on the human security in particular. And then looking into the solution, of course, links to the how we can actually achieve the sustainable solution in Myanmar. So to me, it's like, even like last year, I was thinking of how we can actually, knowing of the Burma Concern, like Migrant Forum, how our Thai friends been like learning the solidarity and try to really help out the Myanmar people in Thailand. And yet, I know that it's been too long of too many decades of the Myanmar crisis that Thailand also been addressing or supporting the people, but at the same time, a lot of these measures or the responses could never reach to the point of Myanmar able to achieve a sustainable solution. So it goes back to how we achieve the sustainable solution in Myanmar. And then that's something that I see with my 37 years of my human rights work for this country to really like bring the democratic change in the country. I see the past 4 years of the young generation's effort is something it's quite significant and unprecedented, which gives perhaps the largest hope, which I repeatedly been saying over the past 4 years in all my public engagement, in spite of the darkness, perhaps the most darkest time that we've ever seen in Myanmar's history, and yet giving the largest hope. But how do we actually materialize and really grab on that hope to see that change is something that among the people we understand, we see it, but we still need a further step for the neighboring countries' leaders or the political leadership to understand it, that our fate, our fate, the future of our two countries really lie how we resolve Myanmar's crisis. Because everything happened in Myanmar comes to Thailand, regardless whether it's a man-made, military-made, or natural disaster. It comes to Thailand. I think it's something that it was not waiting anymore, because in this poly crisis that Myanmar is experiencing now, is something that we need really the Thai government in particular. Someone like Thaksin, who's advising Anwar, for example, he needs to really understand that this Myanmar is not even the same country that he tried to engage more economically during his time as a prime minister. So what do we really do now is something, it has to be more comprehensive, more holistic, but also really to see the ground, that there are solutions on the ground already there with the people, but it just needs another layer of the neighboring countries' governments in particular with the political will and commitment to support that. I think this is the only way also to ensure that Thailand is able to address this massive overflow of the regular, irregular migration, whatever, like other root causes that people are fleeing into Thailand and beyond. I think that comprehensive solution is something we need to actually present to the Thai government more than what we have tried at this point. And I think something from the catastrophic earthquake, I'm hoping that this is going to give us a chance to present to the policymakers that their thinking has to go beyond their traditional diplomatic approach, that they think military is at the center of the solution, which is very wrong approach, I would say, because the center of the solution is with the people. Can we actually convince them? Because I think no matter how people to people that we were trying the best we could, but still political will of the neighboring countries' governments is so important. I think Thailand in particular is at the heart of this political will. If Thailand government has the political will to address it together with the people, we have a chance of convincing the others as the next step that goes to ASEAN and beyond. So that's something that I hope that our Thai friends can help us to get this this proposal of people's comprehensive approach and towards achieving the sustainable solution in Myanmar is actually for the best interest of Thailand, for the new generations to come, for the sustainable solution in Myanmar is equal to peace and prosperity in Thailand as well. So I'll just end here. Thank you.
Thank you very much ค่ะเชิญพี่ต๊อกค่ะ
Yes, thank you very much. I do agree with you, right? But when you propose about the political will for the Thai government, yeah, I actually in Thailand, right, during the recovery phase, right, from the flood, right, there are many of the engineer, right, team, right, like they went to all the house of the people to check everything, right, to change the equipment for free. Actually, we have resources, this kind of resources. Or even you talk about the engineer, right, during the earthquake in Chiang Rai. You know, the Chiang Rai is the center of all disaster, right? Flood, PM 2.5, earthquake, only tsunami. Yeah. During the earthquake, right, there was a team of engineers, right? They call like a engineer voluntary group, right, to help the people, right, to access their property and how to rebuild for the new house, right, to protect another round of the earthquake, something like this. We have this, but how can we bring this group of people into Myanmar? I think this is my concern, right? For now, we need to call for the junta to open for all civil society or technical group, right, to help the people on the ground. I think, and another thing, I think we need to call for the ASEAN leader, no, Prime Minister of Malaysia. I did not see any like an action plan, right? After the meeting between the Thaksin and Min Aung Hlaing and Anwar, right? We need to propose this idea again, and I think we need to call for like a international, like agency, right? That in Myanmar now we move to recovery phase. Right? I do agree with you, but how to release it? My concern. No? Thank you.
คือจริงๆผมเห็นด้วยกับแจ็คกี้นะว่าจริงๆไอ้ตัวโจทย์ที่เราจะเจอในอนาคตข้างหน้าเนี่ยมันไม่ใช่แค่เรื่องของไอ้ตัวแผ่นดินไหวคือไอ้ตัวภาวะไอ้ตัววิกฤตของโลกเนี่ยมันทำให้เกิดไอ้ผลกระทบที่มากกว่านั้นเนาะ
When Suebsakun, the previous speaker, talks about the pollution in the Kok River, there has to be cross-border community communication, because there is said to be there is this toxic pollution in the Kok River in Chiang Mai, and that stems from a coal mine in Chiang state. And so there is time to form a kind of people's working group. You know. There's Thammasat students, Thammasat students who study the engineering aspect of the earthquake, and he is a son of migrant workers who've been working in Thailand for a long time. So there are resources, there are issues, the political futures in Myanmar thing, and I mean the younger generation, they also want a clearer political map, which is not based on traditional politics. And I think that is what Burma Concern has been doing, and we should scale up this idea. And last but not least, it's not very easy to convince the Thai government to come up with a clear political view, but we have to keep trying, we have to keep doing, we have to, at least we see how people become more front and center lately. But also some political party like the People's Party has a clear policy on this people-to-people approach. So we need to explore all these solutions. Even though some people say that the NGOs should not work on instead of the state, but if we want to rely on the state, too much, then the future lies in the people-to-people approach, because right now there is this hostility toward people from Myanmar, in Thailand, and there is this smear campaign, there is this effort to systematically bolster such hostility. So we have to address this as well.
I was thinking to talk about this. It's one of my observation and hope, because before this incident happened, a lot of hate speech and nationalism conservative groups in Thailand. That was very worrying. And then, but after the earthquake, somehow I think some of the Thai have more sympathy into Myanmar people. For the Sanim Thun shop, we raised donations almost 900,000 baht. 80% are Thai donors. And they really actively, monitoring, and also when they want to participate more. And I hope this is kind of changed, that gradually change. And as you say, that the people to people now that we have very closely. But again, the political change not only in Myanmar, but in Thailand too. I think we have to make a change both countries, because we are very closely connected. And for this kind of social space that we're trying to build together between friends and friends, communities to communities, I think this will path the way that what would be the sustainable solution for us, both countries. We could not only fix in Myanmar, no, we have to fix in Thailand too. And I think this kind of thing is happening. And yes, thank you so much today, Naka. And this will not be the last day. We'll meet again. And this evening, Naka, we have 20 booths for Myanmar food and Thai food at the London. Naka, very welcome for join our community space there. Thank you very much today. Thank you RCSD. Thank you all organization hosting. Thank you all participants and speakers. ขอบคุณค่ะ เจสุตินบาเดย์